It was very powerful, thank you. So, Jean-Michel, can you please tell us more about the iDebate journey? And also, can you tell us what lessons you have learned in co-creation and collaboration during that journey?
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. That's a very low good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you. So, my name is Jean-Michel, and I am the founder and executive director of iDebate Rwanda. What I'm going to do at first, it's very hard to ask a founder to talk about the organization because you feel like that's the best thing in the world and everybody should see that. But what I would do is I will explain to you a little bit on what was the idea behind it. I think iDebate is a debate program that works with secondary students here in Rwanda. I would say that our purpose can be divided into two. We are first an education program, and secondly, we're a peace-building program. The first part of an education program. I don't know about, well, the Commonwealth is quite, vast, but every African, I don't know, every African in the room, I'm sure that we all know what it feels like to be educated in a colonial education system, where the teacher is called the master, and the only way to pass class is for you to repeat what the teacher told you, right? That's all you do. But the problem with that is then that we are creating robots. We are creating people who know how to follow orders, and then by the time they're done with the education system, we tell them, be innovators, create your own jobs, and do all of that. And the question is, how can they do that when they have learned that the only way to succeed is to follow orders? So for us, what we teach, first of all, is two skills. The skills of critical thinking, the ability to process information before coming to a conclusion, and then secondly, the skills of communication. We live in an information age. We need to learn how to communicate better. And we are against this education system that is all about rote memorization and that is all about following orders. And we see young people as being people who should be seen but not heard. So what we want to do is to be able to change that. And secondly, it's a peace-building organization.
Yes.
And I don't know if you watch anywhere in the world, one of the things that you will notice is that we can barely listen to one another. One of the things is that if somebody disagrees with you, you treat them as an enemy. And that we can see it in our political spheres, but we can also see in the fact that you have people who believe the same thing as you, people who look like you, and as the world is becoming more and more diverse, we need to learn how to deal with differences. We should not erase differences, we should engage in our differences. And I think that teaching young people the art of argumentation, disagreeing passionately without resorting to violence is a skill that is important more so ever now than it has ever been. So what have I learned? And I think, first of all, being one of the last people to speak, you always feel like there's nothing left to say. But one of the things that I would say is, number one is, we all think that when we are going to create partnerships, we only think about the big institutions. We all think as young people that when you start, the government is going to be on your side, that you're going to get a lot of money, and everyone is going to love it because it's a great idea. I've learned that ideas are only 5% of what makes things work. That at the end of it, you have to build relationships, and that is what everyone said. But I think it's also that the most unlikely of partnerships or the most unlikely of relationships are going to make the biggest difference. When we started, I would say nobody believes in any idea. Everyone says that we believe in ideas, but it's not true. People want to see things that have worked. But the problem is, how do you reach there? You need to, it's almost like one of my mentors told me that people will only support you when you no longer need their support. But part of what I've noticed is that for us, the biggest partnerships or the biggest partnership came from two people. The students that we worked with, and then also with the teachers. When we worked with the students and they were included in everything that we did, they became our ambassadors. And it didn't matter whether we get support from government or we get money from a foundation. What mattered is these people believed that this is important and we're going to be part of it. And then secondly, it's also the teachers. The teachers care. Well, we hope that they care about the education of their students. So when you treat them as partners, they feel like you're not here to undermine their work, but you're only there to support their work. right? And I've seen that sometimes we undermine the people because we think, what is a student going to bring to me? They're not bringing me dollars. They're not bringing me millions of, they're not the government that are going to give me anything, right? But the thing is that if you don't build, starting from them, if you don't build a relationship with them that is based on trust, and that is based on almost this idea that we're in it together and it's a win-win, then all these other partnerships are just papers. Like MOUs are fine, but they're just papers at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
So part of what we have to do is, how do we build lasting relationships with the people that we work with? And how do we also make sure that those who are benefiting and then also those who are impacted by the work that we do, how do we make sure that we include them in everything? They are as important as a government minister. And if you treat it like this, then I think we have a chance of building something that would stay for a very long time. And I think partnerships that are based just on, these big institutions, they are great. But if they're not based on something that is more solid, when they're not based on systems and relationships that are trust-based and that are real, then at the end of the day, we're just staying here. But the real work happens. Sometimes it's, a lot of people say, how do we change education? In the classroom, there. We can do all the policies, all the great things. It's fine, it's great. But the real thing happens when a young person has a teacher that believes in them, trusts them, and who's able to deliver something that will change their life.
Thank you very much. This is very interesting. Please, if you can note your questions, we're going to open the floor because we want to hear from you. And if you have any questions for our speakers, we're going to leave a few minutes so you can ask them questions.